Alright, another day. Am I filling that screen? Well, it doesn't really matter anyways, does it? Uh-oh, I've got a dog. Are we coming in? Come on. Look out. Get in there. Oh, alright. Me and Adventure Dog are back in the shop. Man cave, the garage, whatever you want to call it. She already had her snack, and it was a big frozen ball of elk tendon with some meat in there. So there won't be any chomping going on now. And hopefully she'll be content. Oh, here she goes. Laying down on my feet. A little chunk of living Velcro. Now, what's going on? New news, real quick news. Sarah, all proud because this past whole year and a bit she used her shopping points, was all happy to have bought our holiday flight tickets. So here we are. Can't wait to go. As usual, our holiday. And she said that we fly out on the 3rd. So we got reservations for the BC ferries, the boat to get us across to go to Vancouver Airport for the 2nd, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And last night, she's in her email, she's like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? She goes, we fly out on the 1st. Oh yeah, interesting. So she's a little upset with herself. Me, I don't give a shit. Shit happens. She's all freaking out. Oh my God, we almost blew it. Imagine if we checked on the 1st, if our flight was still okay on the 3rd. Whatever, we're still gonna make it. Just means I got a couple less days to get shit done that I want to get done here before we get out of here. Now, yesterday, I was kind of hoping she wasn't going to. That one particular young lady who we found, getting back to the membership money and the feeding of the children, little recap, her 4 kids, lives in a complex. She's the place where all the other surrounding kids always go to her place. You know the one. We always knew that mom when we were growing up, right? And she is also the one that said, this can't be true, this can't be true, this can't be real. I didn't put in for any lottery or anything. This can't be real. Are you sure? Right? She says, there must be somebody else that must need it too. Meanwhile, it doesn't look like she's been eating enough. So anyway, what I'm getting at is, after we dropped off boxes of quality food to her home for her and her 4 children, not to mention the other people she's helping, we both left there with our heartstrings just yanked. And I said to Sarah a few times, I got a funny feeling we got to take care of her a little more. We got to do this again for that family group. Don't know why, it's the guts. The gut says do it, you got to do it. So anyway, so we had her in mind for this latest run as we stacked on. I don't even know how many more people we stacked on for I wanted to really slam it home this month, right? With as many tummies we could to feed. And I didn't want her to tell her. I wanted to just show up and throw it on the porch and leave. Surprise the shit out of her. But she goes, no, we can't do that. I gotta get a hold of them and make sure they're gonna be there and blah blah blah. So you got a hold of her. Anyways, she sent Sarah a video of her little boy. It's a tearjerker. I won't share it here. It's on the membership channel only, but I will share a text that she sent to Sarah. All right, just so you all know. I'll share the text. Sarah told her we were considering her again. She said, I would be absolutely speechless. If we could receive the groceries again, it would be a miracle. It's not been an easy season for us. I have a few videos of my son. I meant to send him if you wanted. He was so sweet. He said, you guys must be millionaires. He doesn't think he's ever seen this much food in his life. He was so grateful. He helped me make some meals and share with some neighbors who've been helping them for the season. We wouldn't have been able to see them without you. Feed them, I think. I'm not sure how you managed to be able to afford to give like that. but we are just starting to finish up the last bit of meat, beef frozen that you guys got us, and we managed to make a few big meals and share them with the people in the complex, especially those who have been continuously helping my boys and I get through this season, and how emotional I've been since my partner walked out, who still hasn't talked to me or them. If there's anything we can do to help, thank you for you blessing us with groceries. Don't hesitate to ask, because of these, able to get my kids a couple of things they wanted with the holidays. And then Mason's birthday is on New Year's Eve. And this would be amazing, because it would help so much to be able to help give him something special too, and not have to ask him to wait until we can afford it. There you go. There you go. Gotta love it, right? You gotta love it. But the video that she sent of her boy was so sweet. The poor thing, apparently she broke down for quite a while after we left and couldn't even deal with what just came in the door. You can still hear her sniffles as her and one boy were going through the food in the kitchen. It was pretty cool. That's all I'm saying. It's pretty cool. It doesn't take much to help somebody, right? And I'll guarantee you, those 4 children, they're going to remember this, and they're going to pay it back in a community fashion, like we need to get community back. That's what this is all about too, right? Anyway, moving along. What do we got? I don't know what we got. We're going in. I think these are all recent. I haven't gone back in the digging for unread emails this morning. What's it been? 5 frickin' years? 5 years. Who would have ever... If somebody told me, hey dude, you're going to be talking about people seeing odd things in the forest later on in life for like 5 years straight, I would have been like, get away from me, you crackhead. This is crazy. Never on the horizon, never was intended, never even a thought in my head. All of a sudden shit just happens. Isn't it weird? Imagine on that thought too, when you come across the odd speed bump, and I refer to a speed bump as a person who confronts you and says, show me the proof. You're a speed bump. Get out of my way. People like that, show me the proof. Get off your fat, sweaty ass and go do something for yourself. If you have authentic interest, you can get off your sweaty, fat, lazy ass and go look for the proof yourself. It's all available, right? But anyway, aside from that, when people say there's no proof, and we've gone 5 years of trying to get all the witnesses heard and still haven't done it, but there's no proof. Put that in any courtroom. Anybody would hear that statement right there. It's taken us 5 years of sharing witness testimonies, and we can't get them all shared yet. 5 years worth of reading witness testimonies nearly daily. Wow. Right? When you look at it that way, holy shit. The effort that the dirty pricks have put forth to keep this truth and others suppressed is amazing. What an amazing effort. You got to give it to them, right? You got to give it to them. You want to talk about stubborn? I consider myself stubborn, but that's the next level. That's next level. When you can keep so many truths away from so many human beings, to the point that even though there's over 5 years of sharing eyewitness testimony and still haven't been able to hear them all when it comes to one truth, that's amazing. And it still doesn't get acknowledged in the public school system, as an example. All right, there you go. There's my opening babble. This email is titled The Stone. Hi, Steve. My last puzzle piece has been difficult to arrive at. I keep saying it's the last one. I'm in my 60s now, and for a few years been trying to piece together the behavior and strange occurrences that happened as a child. As usual, the memories which hold the most fear are the ones that are most difficult to recall. This memory I knew was relevant as it kept popping into my mind. It was the memory of a small stone dropping in front of me, as we all sat on the grass. A small stone dropping in front of me as we all sat in the grass. Usually the stones were just sighted as they flashed across the group, but this stone was different. It had less momentum as the others. I knew it was important and worked to reveal the context. Then it was revealed. It's 1968, and I'm 7, hanging out with my gang, and we've been playing away from any habitation so we can play loud and hard. Yes, close to a river. We have finished our games because it's gone dark, and we are sat in a huddle on the grass under a large hawthorn tree. Hawthorn tree. I'm not familiar with hawthorn tree. Isn't that funny? I don't think we have them where I live. Obviously, we don't. A hawthorn tree. This was early in our exposure to them, what I call the territorial defensive phase, which was mainly raining stones and the odd visual. We were chattering and recovering our legs when something took my attention away from the group, something that was beyond the trunk of the tree we were sat beneath. I could just see the trunk of the tree on my right, but it was total darkness beyond. There was a sense that something was there, just beyond the tree trunk. There was a sudden feeling of fear that had no explanation. It was the type of fear children are accustomed to when the bedroom lights go out and your imagination takes over. There's a feeling of dread. There's something was hiding in the darkness. I told myself to stop this, as the other kids might see my fear and look over at them. Then I noticed something had changed about the group. It took me a few seconds to work it out. It was the tree canopy. It had moved downwards. Something was pressing the canopy down. I looked above me to see what I could see, but there was just darkness beyond the nearest branch. Again, the fear was building up to a level that was difficult to contain. I knew whatever was near the trunk of the tree was now in the canopy, but my eyes were telling me I was wrong. If there was something above, just 6 feet above our heads, it would be visible, right? I looked back at the others, and they were all chatting amongst themselves, oblivious of what was happening in the tree above them. So again, I told myself, there's nothing there. I'm just imagining it like when you're a child and you're afraid of something in the dark, and when you turn the lights on, there's nothing there. That way I managed to control my fear. Then the stone dropped in front of me, about an inch in diameter, dropped gently. This should have made my fears spiral out of control, but instead I realized that whatever had dropped the stone was being mischievous, and I could appreciate that. I was a child, and mischief was a large part of my identity. How it managed to stay hidden, I couldn't understand. The others had missed the stone falling gently and bobbling on the grass. I must have denied my own senses in thinking that something was in that tree, something very heavy that was mischievous, and instead preferred to follow my friends in failing to notice anything lurking in the darkness. Maybe this is why it was so difficult to remember. Cognitive dissonance is when two opposing viewpoints are held in the mind, so that one is out of the way and I can move on to the next one. There was years of this behavior, and it feels great to finally understand what was happening back then. I just wish my brother, who was one of the group, could also see what was happening. Maybe he will one day. Thought it might be helpful to share this. It shows they will test us, especially at night, by creeping really close by. Thanks, Steve. Keep digging, but know when to stop. Kindest regards, David. All right, man. Appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Mischievous for sure. Threatening? Obviously not. Whatever that was wanted your asses. You wouldn't have been seeing any rocks dropping out of the tree, that's for sure, right? That is for sure. Keep me posted on your ride, alright? And know when to stop, I get it. That's why I preach. Make sure you do what you love to do. That's what we're here to be doing, right? It's a big part of what we're supposed to be doing, is doing what we love to do with life, not what others want you to do. Not to share to a wider audience. Alrighty then. Back out of that one. I'll mark that as look into to read later. Look into. Alright, here we go. What's this about? Dunno. Mark it as read. Here we go. Infrasound being used by Bigfoots. Please read. All right. The infrasound thing. I'm on the fence. I'm not saying they do use infrasound. I'm not saying they don't. But for me, I'd almost be curious, not overly curious, but a little bit of curiosity to trace it back to see who was the first human being that dictated to the crowd, they're using infrasound. Oh, well, thank you for that. How would you know that? And how would you know that to have the confidence to tell us that it's infrasound? You know what I mean? I understand that elephants allegedly can do it, lions can do it, but now that we know what we know about how they can manipulate our emotions intentionally, that ain't no, quote, infrasound, end quote. See what I'm getting at? I'm just looking at it from another angle. Just trying to make sense of it all. There's something like infrasound can have a name to it. Infrasound. Got it. Okay. What's the name for the absolute label of being able to manipulate your emotions? Absolutely manipulate your emotions intentionally. What's the label for that one? Anybody got it? I guarantee it's not. Well, it's just infrasound. See what I mean? You see what I mean? So anyways, sorry. I'll get on with it. Just a thought. Hello. First off, I must say that I literally used to laugh at this subject. Your videos and channels completely changed my perspective and my way to approach not only topics like this, but a plethora of different ways to approach people in life with their different experiences and stories of their own. Thank God. That's like a huge win for all of us and you. So I must thank you for that. A lot of your stories that you tell of your two experiences that I've heard along with the others that have been passed along to you have a similarity that follows quite a few of those stories. The uneasiness and the dread feeling you and others get when seeing or experiencing a Bigfoot have put into my mind something that big, something that big cats and numerous other animals use. It's called infrasound. This is a so-called pitch/tone that our ears can't directly pick up for use to hear, but the vibrations do reach our inner ears, therefore making our mind and thus bodies react. Big cats use this when stalking prey. And from your story of you at your mom and douchebag stepdad's house when you used to go into the woods, put this into my head. That particular choke point spot that you would cross. You would say sometimes you felt uneasy and dread, and other times it would be normal. I think you're experiencing, and thus being the victim of infrasound. Yeah, I don't know. I think, well, you got two stories mixed up. When I had to go to my mom's every second weekend, I just go straight into the woods. But the part with the choke point, that was when I was older and had my driver's license and I was hunting. And I would go up and over top of that hill, through that shoulder, the shoulder of the rock face with big mature fir tree, 3-4 footers at the base. And I have to go through that old road and around to the other side of the mountain to where I was going to go hunt. And when I went through that point, I felt absolutely vulnerable. All the hair in my body and neck turned to wire. It'd just be like, ugh. And I would dread going through there. It didn't cause me to feel dread. It made me dread the point where I'd have to turn around and go back through that point, because when I go back through, it would be dark. Right? And then I'd be like, oh God, here we go. And I'd feel it. Like, oh man. And it just, I'd walk, stay calm, but you kind of want to start running and scooting through there. But no, it did not cause me to feel dread. All right? I dreaded the thought of having to walk back through there because I felt the pressure, the hair turning to wire, something's right here watching me, whatever it was. Just to clear that up, because I haven't felt the absolute dread yet. I don't want to. I'm not saying it was Bigfoot, but I think you're at the very least being watched or stalked by a mountain lion. As if that makes it any more comfortable. But this feeling is literally an attack that big cats use on their prey, which gives animals an uneasiness and confusion, which therefore takes the animals out of their switched on mode. This makes it the perfect weapon to throw prey off their survival mode into a sort of depressed state of mind, rather than being in full survival mode, being switched on. With the numerous stories you've shared, people seem to get an uneasiness feeling before they have their sightings. I think Bigfoots use this method to distraught people and make them feel uneasy, so they leave the area and thus never get the chance of seeing the Bigfoot. Other times, people have the sightings and state that feeling like what you described. I don't know if this makes any sense with the way I explained it, but I hope you can read this and maybe think about if this may be true or not. Thank you for the videos, and I know you probably won't read this, but your work is freaking amazing. Hope this helps. I read it. Okay, so we're just friends bullshitting at the coffee table in the morning, right? I politely don't agree with what you just said about cats using that to discombobulate their prey's mind. No. And just so you know, I have kicked snow into the face of a cat. Maybe I'll tell that story. You guys want to hear it? And there's no confusion. There's no pre-dread. There's no nothing. I've seen cat stalking prey. We've all seen house cat stalking prey. We've seen the National Geographic Channel. We've seen cat stalking shit. Everything's going about their business. Normally. Until it's lunge time. Until they realize they're about to be pounced on. Then they change between the ears and go into panic. And right? But when you say, maybe you worded it wrong, I don't know. But when you made the statement of prey being on alert, and the cats can do something to them to make them off of alert, no. I would have to absolutely disagree with that statement. That's not gonna happen. Once you get prey animals on alert, it sees your eyeballs and knows you are focused on it, like it's a natural prey animal. I've figured out how to get around that myself, but it's all from body language and visual, not from making sounds. That's it. It's game over. They're just waiting for you to twitch an inch, and then they're going to bolt. But anyway, I'll tell you the cougar story. Get this one. And this is on the same mountain that I had my first visual encounter. Go figure. It wasn't on this end. We go around the road. It was way down this end. Okay, listen to this. So I'm 17 years old. I got my very first pickup. 71 shove half ton. The bronze body with the white top. One. Wood panel box. Anyway, got a friend with me. Younger, shorter person, like a smaller package human being is what I'm saying, for the eyes of the predator. So anyway, and it's starting to barf snow. And back then, all I wanted to do was hunt. That's it. Hunt, bow hunt. That's all I did. I went hunting nonstop. It wasn't hunting season. I was in the woods anyways, looking for antlers, looking for anything. Now it's dumping snow, which isn't that common in Vancouver Island. And I'm in South Vancouver Island, so we're like, let's go. And we're going to do like a survival thing, too. You know, teenagers. Jump in my truck, we had a roll of poly. Warm clothes, sleeping bags. That's it. Decided we're going to go up into the mountain, into the timber, and we're going to make a shelter in the dark, like we're surviving, hike up into the woods, sleep, and wake up right there in the woods and start hunting. It's going to be awesome, right? Excuse me. Drove up as far as we could. So we drove past where I had to park to hike up the other end of the mountain. Drove up past about a mile or something. I guess, I don't know. Took the little dirt road that went in about a couple hundred yards, dead end, dumped the truck. Off we go into the forest in a snow blizzard with a flashlight each. Oh my God, right? And off we went. I guess I should have known then what the rest of my life would have been. But anyway, so we got to the spot in the timber, found some old blow-down poles, and we made a type of a lean-to. We made the roof go. The poly went down over the top of the roof and then folded under us to put the sleeping bags on top. And climbed the sleeping bags, went to sleep. Woke up, and my friend, he was already up and out of his sleeping bag, frozen. It's like, I couldn't sleep, he had snow on top of us. And I woke up, I got snow on top of me, but I had poly on top of me, but I was warm it was all good. Anyway, getting on to the story. So we get up, and back then there was these old horse trails in the very top of the mountain range, and they all wound through that timber. Made it awesome for sneaking and sneak along and bow hunting. Pouring rain again. And anyway, now picture this. So one tactic I used to do, I already knew the layout of the land ahead of me in the timber. And I used to let the wind, I would go like 300 yards, 200 yards away from where I think the deer are probably going to be better to hang out in these bluffs. And I would go, there's no way I could get there because the wind's behind me without pre-spooking everything way up ahead, right, from your scent. So I would let the wind go up my back. I'd walk blatantly in line with where I figured the game was, and I'd stand there for about 15, 20 minutes, and I would let my scent gently blow in there from about 200 or 300 yards away, right? Then I would go back 90 degrees back where my scent was not in line with where I wanted to hunt, and I would boogie straight through the forest that way until I could get behind the bluffs and the timber where I figured everything was, and then I'd come in behind them and sneak in from above. That's the plan. It worked. It works. It's worked for me a lot. And I don't know how many times I've come back over top of those bluffs, and there's a great big buck standing there in the bluffs looking down to see if he can see that human that he can smell. Right? That's the plan. And it's an important note. So our scent has already blown through ahead of us on those trails, okay? The horse trail lines up like this, and you can really see the trail because the fresh snow is on top of it. So now the trail's a blatant white line going through the forest. So my partner, he's going to take the horse trail that way until he's out of line with the wind going this way, right? He's going to go that way. I'm going to go this way, and then we're going to go down both sides, and we're going to hook around and come over and hunt into the wind. So we're just kids. Bow and arrows. I just left where our trails forked. I'm going through the timber, and I just glanced to my right through the timber, and I just caught something low to the ground, the color of a deer, on the same trail my buddy was on, going toward him. And probably, I would have guessed, I don't know, 60, 50 yards in front of where I thought he was, because I couldn't see him yet. And I'm like, huh? Like, what was that? That wasn't a deer. It's too low to the ground. There's no way that was a deer. Gut starts burning. I backtrack real quick, and I'm whistling. So when back then we used to whistle to each other, just like that. If you split up the apartment timber, whistle back and forth like that. I don't whistle in the timber anymore. So anyway, I'm whistling as I'm going back, so I need him to hurry. There's something coming on his trail, and the wind is at his back. Whatever's coming up that trail toward him knows he's there, knows he's a human. That's a no-brainer. And then I see him up his trail. I'm like, here, come here. And as he's coming up to me, I go, something's coming up your trail, man. It wasn't a deer. And all of a sudden, right then, here is this, and I can see it like it's plain as day yesterday. And here is this big cat, definitely male when I know what I know now. I look back. I mean, that was a real big, mature Tom Cougar. And he came bounding up the trail. I'm like, it's a cougar! And I got an arrow on my bow, and I pulled it back, and I'm literally looking at it on an angle like this. And I'm yelling at it. And my buddy, he's frozen. I think he was 16 or 15. And he's got his bow at his side, and he's frozen stiff. Not moving. And I'm going, and I got my bow pulled back, and going, don't run, don't run, don't run. Get out of here! Get out of here! Don't run, don't run. Just like that. And that cat's just sitting there, looking at me, looking at him, and then I start kicking snow at it. That's how close it was. I'm kicking snow at it, yelling at it, and I'll never forget his face going like that with the snow hitting him in the face. And the sucker's standing there staring, and it's almost like, what was he doing? Right? He came down that trail. He was only about 50 yards in front of him. And the time it took me to back trail, go up his trail a bit, see him, call him back, obviously that thing went down the trail and sat. Because if it kept on going the speed it was going, it would have been on him way before I got back. So obviously that thing went down his trail and sat, waiting for him to come. Absolutely, that's what he did. And then when he didn't come, he came bounding up the trail to see where he went. And boom, ran into both of us. So I think that cat was just trying to assess the situation. Okay, I got two now. What should I do? Should I still kill this guy? Right? And then after, I don't know, it seemed like hours, right? But, who knows how many, I think I kicked snow in his face probably 5 or 6 times. And then he just slowly turned around and started walking away like he owned the joint. And then when he got to about 20 yards away, I think, I let an arrow fly at him. But by then I've been holding my bow forever and it went underneath his belly. And then that spooked him and then he took off. There you go. Little memory came up. But I don't remember feeling anything between my ears. And my friend never mentioned anything about feeling a little off either. Nothing happened. There's no infrasound exchange there. That was a cat going by scent, then he went by sight, and then he went into stalk mode. Right? Sorry for that interruption, but what the hell? I'm gonna share my stories every once in a while. So we'll see. We'll see as we close in on the truths until somebody can... until one of these people decides to speak fluent English and sit down and do a podcast. And we say, so is it true you guys have laid down infrasound on us? They'd probably be like, infra what? Who knows, right? You never know until we hear from them. But until then, I just don't understand how any human being can dictate to us they're using infrasound. Prove it. This next email is titled Been There, LOL. I've been watching your videos and your latest made me laugh because the same thing happened to me. I've been messing around with a group. Older email. Sorry, I'll start that again. I've been watching your videos and your latest made me laugh because the same thing happened to me. I've been messing around with a group of what I call forest people since my daughter named them that. A young one came running across the trail on all fours and stopped below me in the woods. So I zoomed in with my camera trying to get a picture when a huge adult stood up beside it. I took 3 pictures. Before then the loudest noise you could have ever heard in the woods stopped me in my tracks. It sounded like a power pole being slammed against the biggest tree in the woods. I knew at that second what it was and started walking out fearing for my life. I called my wife on the way out because I was scared. I wouldn't even make it out alive, LOL. So yes, I know that sound and you aren't the only one that has experienced that power. Sending you a few pictures from when I was trying to figure out what they are. Thanks for your videos, Alex. All right, more photos. What do we got? Wow, that's interesting. That one behind the willow branches. What's this? Green cedar. Wow, that's crazy. Definitely some kind of a face in there. And then we got a shot in the timber of something. Wow, interesting. That's an older email. There you go. I'll put these in the... I'll put them in the video so you guys see them clearly, right? That's a while back. If you're still hanging out and you haven't become a full-time member of their clan... Why don't you, if you could, email us back again and give us an update. If this is legitimate, you're one of the very few who can get a photograph of these people, right? So I'd imagine what has happened since you originally emailed us here. I'd be curious to know. Thanks for sending that in. Take from all what you will and leave it, you guys. Wasn't there. I wasn't there. Now, Who's next? All right, here we go. Who's next? I got a few more here I'll rip out, and then I'm going to get moving. Now that we've lost a couple days for a flyaway, I got a lot of chores I got to get done before we go. Interview of older Oklahoman. Steve, my name is Martha Fast. And I've lived more than 70 years in Oklahoma. This is one of the best interviews I've heard of the Sasquatch in southeastern Oklahoma. This area of Oklahoma is heavily wooded and wild. You won't be disappointed to hear this logger's story. He handled a dead juvenile Sasquatch when he was 9. He says they are human. The 1949 Oklahoma incident. He said, quote, "We're going to have a problem," end quote. Wow. Thank you for your continued dedication to the outdoors and the truth. May God richly bless you and your family throughout the coming year. And you too. Thank you so much for that email. Appreciate that. Never heard of that before. Do I doubt it? No, not for a second. And yes, they are human-like more than anything. Interesting, right? Anybody else know about that one? Surprised, well, who knows? It might have been emailed to us. Just haven't got to it yet. Don't know. Answer to your question today, November 26th, 2024. All right? See, I eventually get to them. Hi, Steve. I hope this email gets to you. You got it. Pine needles have an abundance of vitamin C, also known as ascorbic acid, a food preservation chemical. I learned about making tea from pine needles to avoid getting scurvy about 2 years ago. I then researched vitamin C in food preservation and made the connection. What I found online said, ascorbic acid can be used to preserve meat by retaining its color and preventing the formation of harmful compounds during the curing process. I was a registered environmental health specialist, health inspector for about 35 years, so I'm very aware of the use of ascorbic acid in food preservation. I know you get swamped with emails with the work you do. If I may ask you to just email back received, so I know you received this. Have a wonderful holidays with your loved ones. We are in for a very interesting 2025. Karen Stacy. Karen, received. I'm sure you're here. We got her. That's interesting for me to read. For sure. And that is in relation to a email that came in from some hunters. I think they lost their deer or they found a deer. Either way, it was ripped open and it was stuffed full of pine needles. And that's not been emailed in before. And like you say, a preservative, for what we know, for what I know, and I've read so far, when it comes to preserving meat and these people, they don't give a flying shit. You know, like that I mentioned before, we dropped that dead 250-pound, 300-pound ewe, domestic sheep. We threw that in the middle of a clearing, right in the heart of Mount Curry, Sasquatch zone. And that thing was absolutely bloated. Way past gone sour. Meaning the meat. I mean, it reeked. It was disgusting. And they just picked it up and took it. And then my friend, well, I shouldn't say friend, I don't know him that well, but the kind guy who worked for the band at Mount Curry bumped into him up by their landfill. And he said flat out, he goes, "Oh, they're down the river." And he said that they saw, I've said this a bunch of times, there was 2 adult-sized footprints and a young one. The young one wouldn't go in the water, was walking on the edge. The adults were going in and out of the river. And he could see where they were picking up. And if you're familiar with spawning salmon, once they're dead on the side of the river and they're absolutely deteriorating, it looks like a chunk of yellow, nasty pudding with scales. It's disgusting. So far beyond, I mean, we're talking absolutely decay. And they were grabbing those and eating them. So the question goes, well, why would they stuff the pine needles into a deer to preserve it for them unless they were doing that for the benefit of the human that was about to find the deer? That might be it, right? Anyways, very interesting. Appreciate that tidbit share with the people. Okay, one more. This is titled A Big UFO. All right. Hi, Steve. I wrote once before, a little while back, discussing the New World Order and the enslavement agenda. Man, we've been enslaved a long time already. I'm not here to discuss that again, but I can tell you for sure America woke up this last election and voted against the power-hungry dark puppet master Satan worshippers. For now, human beings have a chance at freedom again, starting in January 2025. We'll see. I apologize I do not have a story about the hairy man or any inside information. I just need to get something off my chest that I witnessed. It happened about a year ago and has just been eating at me, and I need to vent. Let her rip. Around 8 p.m. in the evening, my wife and I were sitting in the hot tub in the backyard. We sit in there probably 3 nights a week. I'm a contractor and often come home sore and relish the hot water. Same. Our home runs north-south. The hot tub's in the back corner, and I have an unobstructed view looking northwest. Something had caught my eye that seemed unusual. I noticed a long, exceptionally long row of red and white lights in perfect symmetry, going through the sky. They were all equal distance apart and not changing position to one another. At first, right now, it sounds like an Elon Musk satellite string. I got up out of the tub to stand on the deck to get a better look. And what I was seeing was hard to believe. My brain started going through the catalog of what the F it was. These lights were connected to a physical object. I watched this thing for a good 15 to 20 seconds. It was massive. Excuse me, when I say massive, I would guess 1/4 mile long, shaped like a massive eyeglass case. I'm a highly observant person, do not drink, do drugs, or smoke, so my head and eyes were truly clear. The freaky part is this gigantic floating ship was completely silent. I would guess it was 5 miles away, and unbelievably, it was coming from the direction of Area 51. Sounds nuts, I know, but believe when I tell you, I'm one of those humans that just does not believe or imagine stuff. I need hardcore evidence. The other very odd circumstance, when it was flying directly into the flight, was flying directly into the flight path. When the planes take off from Harry Reid Airport, they bank about 10,000 feet up, about 1/2 mile before my backyard, to fly east. The next scariest piece of this encounter is the whole MFing thing, cloaked, as it started to get over the city lights. I was excited and forgot to ask my wife if she had seen it. And as I turned around, she was standing in my blind spot on the deck with her mouth agape and eyes wide open, not saying a word. I tried talking to her about it, but she was too shaken to utter anything. A week later, my wife was out on the hot tub again, and she was yelling. I thought something had come in the yard. I live close enough to Red Rock National Park, and about 4 times a year they tranquilize big cats that come down into the neighborhoods from the local mountains. My mind went there first because of the urgency in her voice. I walked out into the courtyard and she said, "It's back! It's back! Look up!" I did, and this time it flew right the F over the house, going directly into the flight path toward the LV strip. I did not see the whole thing, but the ass end of it this time. And the same thing as before. Just as I was watching it, it cloaked and went invisible. Completely silent. And what was strange, it had a kind of a wire tail that cloaked. It was about 3,000 feet off the ground, approximately, and huge. Same shape as the previous experience. She got a great look at it, too. But to this day cannot even talk about it. It altered her paradigm. Oh, shit! Poor thing. Every time I ask, she does not want to talk about it. It flew right over her. She says, "I'm not talking about this again." Anyways, if you read this, I really appreciate it, and keep fighting for the truth and battling the dark forces. It only takes one match to light up a dark room, and you're that match. We really appreciate the community you've built and the platform you've given people to air their incredible encounters. God bless you. Take care. Okay, appreciate the kind words and words of encouragement, my man. You too, right? You're right alongside me. Man, I feel bad for your wife. That sucks. I always, that really yards that tugs at me when obviously, I've shared that lots in the past, but that bugs me when you hear about people that, it has, when they see truth and reality that's outside what we've been programmed to see or accept, and then they get so emotionally damaged out of it. It just really pisses me off, right? Because all it is reality. It's just truth. It's just truth in your face right there. And it's unfortunate that so many people can't deal, right? And it's broken up marriages, it's ended friendships, it's divided families. It's got people fired from their jobs, and that is all bullshit. Right, Bubs? Now, second coffee almost done. I went out in the shop. There's food frickin' everywhere. So Sarah has got to get that food all divided up to go to the various houses. One woman she contacted, she said she had $60 left and had to buy pull-ups and food. Obviously, she was just absolutely taken back that Sarah had found her and told her, hey, heads up, we're coming to your house. $60 left and had to get pull-ups and or food. I don't know if there's a choice had to be made there or what, but it just makes me growl. Makes me growl, right? Trying to bite my lip. Greasy son of a bitch. Greasy piece of shit. Criminal in Canada. Spent $244,000 on food for him and his entourage while flying around going into holiday countries. $244,000 of the money stole from us and the mouths of these kids. All right, you get my point. Why I'm biting my lip. I could really, really go off. But anyway, so she's going to do that. I got to get a truckload of chips and shit to fire in front of the chicken coop so I got to stop walking in the mud. What else I got to get? Hey, I got to fix the electric fence. I got to do a whole bunch of shit before we get out of here. And there you go. I'm babbling away. Share my story, howtohunt.com. We'll resume. Well, I'll be here. I'll still come back here a couple times before we fly away. And I'll tell you the plans and what we're doing and what we have got done and what we're going to get to do and what we're going to resume doing once we get back. All right? And yeah, you will be hearing from me when I'm away as well. So share my story, howtohunt.com. She hasn't repoed these kids' hats from me yet. I have a feeling she's going today. She's going to ship all the goodies one more time before, she's going to ship all of her orders one more time before we leave on January 1st. We leave. So if you want something and you want to ship before we leave, you got to get it in. And that'll be in the link below, right? And my sticker, she said that we can get the sticker made. I think a bunch of people have offered up to help me get a sticker, and I'm gonna put censored across that in a see-through red censored, and then we're gonna put it on the wall. Why not? I don't give a shit about no plaque. Give me a break. So anyway, I'll stop now. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay there, Bobby. Stay there.